So, good
Okay.
morning. How
Thank
are
you.
you doing?
Good morning. I'm fine. Thank you very much for having me on your show. You make me feel like a celebrity.
It's a pleasure to have you. So, the story behind how I found you, I read a post written by you on Quora. So, the question was, how did you learn English? Something related to English. Then you had written a little bit about you and what you want to improve about your English. So, I was just curious to talk to you. So, I just went through the profile and I got your mail ID. So, that is how I connected to you. So please tell
Hmm.
me a little more about yourself for the viewers.
All right. I'll be brief in 2 minutes. I say I can talk about myself for hours. I can talk for 2 minutes. I'll just keep it for 2 minutes. My name is
Okay.
Vishwanath. I'm Kora. Normally, people know me as Gopal Krishna. Actually, that's my father's name. Gopal Krishna Vishwanath is my full name. My actual name is Vishwanath. I originally come from Bombay City. We were originally from Palakkad in Kerala, but my father migrated to Mumbai when I was born, and I was brought up in Mumbai City. Had my schooling in Mumbai City. Up till matriculation. Then I went to Rajasthan and joined BITS Pilani for engineering education. So
Hmm.
67 to 72 for 5 years, I studied in BITS Pilani, Rajasthan. I then went to the University of Roorkee. Now they call it IIT Roorkee, and I got my master's degree in structural engineering. That was in 1974. Then I joined a central government consultancy organization, the largest consultancy organization in the country called MECON, MECON, with its head office in Ranchi. And we offered the complete gamut of consultancy services to steel plants and heavy industries. So I was taken on as a young executive trainee as a structural engineer, and I spent the next 37 years of my life doing
Okay.
only design of steel structures for heavy industrial and commercial buildings. Drawings, technical specifications, estimates, reports, analysis, calculations, everything. Site inspection, everything to do with heavy steel structures in industrial buildings. I started at the junior most level, and after 28 years of service, for the last 5 years, I was heading the same department which I had joined as a trainee. I was then 50 years of age. I decided I'm going to sort of switch, and because of for financial reasons, while the public sector gave me a good salary and I had a nice, steady, peaceful life, I found that my financial future was not certain because of the public sector income was very limited. So I still had about 10 years of juice left in me to be able to work. So I decided now is the time. So I left. I resigned. I joined a private firm and we started a new line of business completely, which I had never done before. That was the outsourcing industry. A private firm took me on as a general manager, gave me 30 people and a place in Electronic City. I was asked to sit there, and then we had a new line of business. The internet had just started in India at that time, in the year 1999 2000, and we were doing what is called technical knowledge process outsourcing. So I was given 30 computers, 30 people, appointed as general manager, and we accepted work from American clients, and we used to do them over here and give it to them, hand it over to them over the net at 1/7 of the cost which they would have incurred if they had done. So I stuck with this business for 2.5 years because it became very strenuous. I was called in the middle of the night very often. So I decided instead of that, I'm going to do work for myself. So I threw it up. I started my own company, went to BMS College here, recruited 10 young engineers, boys and girls, and then trained them and set up my own business in my own house. I modified my house and then opened a design office and started the same line of business. My old clients knew me very well. They were
Hmm.
gave me small deals initially to test me out. I invested heavily in infrastructure and hardware. And for 10 years, I ran the company. And at the age of 62, I had a lot of series of health setbacks. So my children brought pressure on me to ask me to close the show. I gave up everything, sold my company, and 10 years ago, not 10, more than 12 years ago, I retired. And since then, I've been leading a peaceful life. That's all about me briefly. I'm married. I have my wife. We are living alone now in South Bangalore. I have a daughter who is settled in America for the last 24 years. And my son is in Cambridge University. He teaches at Cambridge University. He is a Rhodes Scholar. So
Okay.
both of them have become citizens of USA and UK. And me and my wife are left alone here. We go and visit them, but we are not interested in settling there. So we are settled over here happily. We have our own house here. So
Okay.
that's briefly an introduction about me. I got onto Quora in 2006, 2015 as a
Okay.
hobby. I was just idling. Didn't know what to do. I happened on Quora accidentally and fell in love with it. At that time, Quora was very good. It
Okay.
deteriorated later. That's a different story. But
Mhm.
I found myself becoming happy with it. I enjoyed writing. So I used to enjoy answering questions and asking questions. So that became my hobby. So that's how I got on Quora. That's all about myself. Now, what next?
Okay. So do you want to know a little about me?
Yeah, certainly. Certainly
Yes.
like to know.
Yes, my name is Shanta and I live in Karnataka as well. I was born and brought up in Bellary, but currently I am settled in Raichur. I think you must be knowing because you are living in
Raichur. Yeah.
Raichur.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Raichur.
Yeah. I'm living in Raichur. I am a full-time homemaker and I used to work as a spoken English trainer for a platform. So after starting my own YouTube channel, I stopped working for them and now I'm working independently. So on my channel, I basically post conversations. I invite people over and have a chat with them and post it on my channel because of people who want to learn English. They need to have a
Mm,
listening practice so they can watch conversations and learn something from it. But
mm,
my qualification is an engineer. I am a software engineer. So I worked in Bangalore
mm,
for around 2 years after my college. So after that, we moved abroad and lived there for about 8 years. Then we came back
mm,
here to live with our in-laws. And
mm.
that's it about me. I have 2 children. So I am a full-time homemaker and I do YouTube only part-time. So that is it. I do not have any other profession as of now, no
Okay.
hobbies as well, because this is my hobby, interacting with people, reaching out to them.
It's a fascinating topic. It's very interesting. Go ahead and then carry on, and I wish you success in your own. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Next.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I want to ask you, how did you learn English? Because nowadays we have a lot of resources which we can utilize in order to learn this. So how did you learn?
Yeah.
Did you learn it in school and college?
I learned English as a 6-year-old child. My my parents put me in an English medium school when I was 6 years old. Till the age of 6, I was just running around playing in the mud. Those days, we didn't have any LKG, UKG, or what is it called, prep or whatever this thing. At 6, they used to simply go and take us to the school and put us in the nearest school. So till 6, I was just running around. I didn't know a word of English except my mother tongue. At 6, they put me in a school in Bombay, and I was put in kindergarten, and it was an English medium school with Catholic teachers. So they used to talk only in English, and that's how I picked up. Afterwards, I changed school to Don Bosco in Matunga. I was again put in an English medium school. So I had an early start exposure to English medium right from the early age of 6. That's a big help. So
Yes.
that's how I started English, and learned English mostly on my own efforts, because suddenly I just developed a love for it and I started reading a lot. Initially, it was comic books, then it was simple story books, Grimm's fairy tales, Panchatantra tales, all kinds of those short stories. I used to devour them. It was, those days there were very few attractions. There was no TV, and the only electronic attraction was the radio. So I was
Yes.
too young to enjoy reading at that time. So books and comics, flying kites, playing marbles in the mud, and enjoying street cricket with a tennis ball, that those were our hobbies those days. So I had plenty of opportunities to read. We used to have circulating libraries. We used to go there and borrow books from each other. And I read a lot. That's how I learned English. And
Mhm.
in school, my teachers took a special interest in me. They saw that I was good at it. They saw that my writing was good, and my teachers encouraged me a lot and helped me quite a bit. So that was another way I learned better English. But basically, my knowledge of English comes from reading, and spoken English I improved only by watching movies. Those days there was no TV, there was no
Mm.
YouTube, there was no, the only way visual medium was a movie. So movies were expensive. It's not easy to go. You have to stand in a line in a theater and watch it. So English movies I used to enjoy. The old Ben Hur, Ten Commandments, and I don't know all the old movies, The Sounds
Mm.
of Music. I don't know if you've heard about all these movies or not. They were really great, and each movie I tried to watch at least twice if possible. And my attention was 100% on the screen and listening carefully to how they pronounce. That's how I improved my English pronunciation, by watching actual native speakers speak the language. Otherwise, in school, my our basic teachers simply spoiled my pronunciation. I
Yes.
was later lucky. I was later lucky to, in high school, I had some good teachers who were English speaking and who were Christians and Catholic Christians.
Hmm.
So they're far better. And they corrected my pronunciation quite a bit. And that's how I learned. But even now, I have a Desi accent. And when I feel I'm better when I talk to Indians. But once I go abroad and talk to the American or the Britisher, I can see the difference in how I
Hmm.
speak and how they speak. So that's where one area where I have to improve. I can't improve my accent anymore because that is not really worth it. But I would certainly like to improve my vocabulary a little more.
Hmm.
Any other question?
Yes. So, has English helped you in your job profile when you started working? How did it help you in your life?
It helped me quite a lot. In fact, uh, I am an engineer. All the technical literature that helps you to progress is available only in the English language, not in a single Indian regional language.
Hmm.
Drawings, technical literature about steel, everything, whatever information you want. I learned engineering also in English medium, and we all make drawings in English. Our customers, we correspond in English. They may be from any nation or they may be in any business, but English was the common language. Since
Hmm.
my English was better, I was carefully handpicked to be and then thrust in front of the customers for all the meetings. So because I could communicate better with them in English, but that
Yes.
helped me
Hmm.
quite a bit. So and we had a lot of interactions with foreigners.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I stood out among my colleagues
Hmm.
because of my knowledge of English and my ability to speak English fluently. So in fact, I was posted for 3 months in Korea.
Okay.
At Korea, there were British engineers and were Indian engineers interacting with Korean engineers. The Korean engineers were horrible in English. They knew their subject well. They were good in engineering, but they struggled. And um, they were impressed more by my English than by my technical knowledge. That is one joke which I keep telling my people over there. Because they were saying, how do you manage to speak English so fast to those white skinned foreigners? So this helped me quite a bit. And basically I told you its technical knowledge was mostly in English. Then my English enabled me to communicate with a wide set of people, all kinds of people. Everybody knew English. If I had not known English well, I would have been able to communicate only with people who speak my native language or
Hmm.
perhaps Hindi or Tamil, but not with everybody. Here I found that suddenly the whole world is open to me. I
Hmm.
was able to, yeah. And then English helped me on Quora too. I was able to write better on Quora because of my knowledge of English. Because of that, I made my presence felt in places far away, in all over the world. That's how English helped me, and that helped me to improve my public relations also.
Hmm. Hmm. So, for people who want to learn spoken English now, what are your best tips to become fluent?
First tip is start as early as you can. Language is such a thing which the earlier you start, see, the Britisher and the American has no problem. From the lap of his mother, in sitting in the lap of his mother, he picks it up. He doesn't learn ABC, he doesn't learn grammar. He just learns to recognize the sound and copy it, and that's how they learn fast. That opportunity we don't get. We begin learning English the wrong way. A, B, C, DOG, dog, CAT, cat,
Hmm.
and we mug, whereas we never get an opportunity to. So if you are able to get exposed to English right as an infant, 2 to 3 years, as soon as you start learning, if your parents are able to speak to you in English, in addition to your mother tongue, of course. I mean, I'm not saying that you should neglect your native language, but in addition to it, if you are able to get exposed to the spoken language as early as you can, you pick up very fast. That's a tender age, between the age of 3 and 10. The speed with which you pick up any language is very good compared to trying to learn a language after you become an adult. People struggle. Any language is difficult when you are an adult. So the first thing to do is to learn fast is uh, start early. Next, read, read as much as you can. When you read, you are in the company of an intellectual, somebody who is better than you, who is a good, any person who can write is an intellectual. If when you are reading, you are in the company of the intellectual, uninterrupted company of the intellectual, and you can share his thoughts. So it helps you quite a lot if you, and of course, read the right stuff, not the bad stuff. Read the right stuff and read as much as you can. Then listen very carefully. Identify good speakers. If you can't, there's nobody in your in your immediate neighborhood. Find somebody, a good teacher, or go to the radio or go to the TV. Find out a good channel where somebody speaks good English and listen to them carefully and watch how they use words, phrases, and sentences. Just if, just imagine if you had a chance to listen to Sashi Tharoor every day speaking for about 5 minutes, how good it would be. Okay, I have learned quite a lot of good English by simply listening to TV anchors. TV anchors speak very well. Their pronunciation is very good. I have corrected my many years. I've been using words and pronouncing them wrong, and then I corrected myself after I heard a good speaker of English speak and then pronounce it correctly. So listen and speak as much. I mean, listen as much as you can to good speakers. That will also help you. Then last, write. Write every day, at least. We have plenty of opportunities to write. Those days, social media didn't exist. The method of communication was a postcard. Take a letter and write and post it, even if it reaches 2 days. I used to correspond with my grandfather quite a lot. My grandfather was an English teacher. And he took special interest among all his grandkids. I was his favorite because I was the only person who showed interest in learning English properly, grammatically. And I used to write letters to him even at a very tender age. He used to correct those letters, correct the grammar, and edit it and send the letter back to me so that I could improve. I used to be in touch with him. And then every summer we used to go there and spend time with him. My grandfather was a great influence. He also helped me quite a lot. If you have a mentor like that, that would be great. But everybody doesn't have. So you have to use your own resources and your own methods. And these are the methods that I used. I read a lot. Then later on, once TV and became available, I watched TV and learned a lot of English simply watching TV, particularly BBC, CNN, and the foreign channels. In addition to good English channels in India also. NDTV used to be very great those days before it became politically controversial. So, Pranay Roy and others, they were World This Week. There were so many wonderful programs those days. I used to watch them very carefully, and I learned a lot of English by simply watching. Those were the methods I used.
Yes. And how do you think English has evolved through the generations? Has it become really important for people of today to speak English?
Today it is so important. It is the most important language in the world. Absolutely, no doubt about it. Those who spurned English are now learning English. The French didn't like English. The Germans didn't like English. Today, you go to Germany, you find every school English is a compulsory language. The Chinese ignored English. They put themselves behind a curtain and then denied an entire generation exposure to the language. Today, the Chinese children are learning English. In India, I belong to those, I remember those 1960s days where there's Hindi, anti-Hindi, anti-English politics, which was rocking the nation. Okay? The North and South was divided on this one issue of language. Those Hindi zealots who opposed English and those anti-Hindi zealots in the South who opposed Hindi, both of them have come to a common platform. And the biggest anti-Hindi zealots of those, their children and grandchildren are now learning English. And those people who railed against the English language are proudly saying that Mera beta Angrezi janta hai. My children are speaking good English. There's a mad rush for putting children in English medium schools. If English weren't important, why would we be doing this? So while it's I'm not saying you should ignore one's own native language, but English should be learned also in addition to, and you better be good at it, because it is the one language which will help give you a reach, an international reach, which no other language can give. So its importance is, and why computers, technology. English is the language. There is just no alternative to it. You can be a patriot and say, no, I sign a slavery, badge of slavery. All that is politics. But there is no better learning. So I would recommend to everybody not to listen to politicians who say that you should not learn English and that you should not learn. You can certainly learn your own native languages, but let it be in addition to English, and see that you have good proficiency in English. that will lead you to a better life, a better career anywhere in future.
Okay, yeah. So the last question, yeah. You want to say something else?
Yeah. The elite of India are all
Mm,
English speakers.
yes.
Go to the court. Even the Chief Justice of India can't deliver a judgment in his native language.
Yes.
Go to ISRO. Go to ISRO. They send rockets, but all the communication is in English.
English.
Go to the stock market. Everything is in English. The law is in English. The Constitution of India is in English.
Right.
So, what more is to be said about its importance?
Yes.
There is no argument on this. It is the language, whether it's not, whether it's the language, it's an official language now. It need not be the national language, okay? But it is the language of business, the language of technology, of law, of commerce, and it is the number one language in the world.
Okay. So the last question for this session is, do you want to give any advice for people in their 30s? Any life lessons, any advice, anything on those lines?
Well, general, not doing,
General.
not nothing to do, just general advice. 5 things are important: your health, diet, exercise, avoiding vices, constantly learning, and having a hobby. Health. Take care of your health. It's much more important. Those who have plenty of money but have no health are miserable. You will realize it as after you cross the age of 40, the health problems start. And by the time you're 60 or 70, if you have not been taking care of your health, your old age will be miserable, even if you have a lot of money. So everybody knows that enough guidance is available on how to take care of your health. I'm just mentioning that health is an important thing. Pay attention to it and do not ignore it. Diet. It's terribly tempting. I know I myself had that weakness. Cut down on salt, sugar, and oils.
Mm.
Cut down on oil, sugar, and salts right from an early age. Don't get used to it. Half your middle age health problems will vanish. Exercise.
Mm.
Any kind of exercise. It doesn't matter what exercise it is. Play an outdoor game or go for a yoga class or uh, do Zumba or dancing or whatever you want. But see that there is some physical activity every single day. If nothing, just go for a walk every day. If you can swim, great. But regular exercise, at least 5 to 6 days a week, is absolutely important. And the type of exercise doesn't matter. You keep doing it without fail, half your health problems will get solved. Avoid vices, of course. Fortunately, smoking is coming down. During my time, smoking was fashionable. Every young fellow was 13, 14, 15. He was desperate to start smoking in order to belong to the club of the grown-ups. They were all eager to be called grown-ups. And fortunately, smoking has considerably come down nowadays. Drinking, smoking, and drugs. These 3 things, if you avoid, many of your problems are solved. Solving this problem or overcoming these vices is much more difficult in not having started at all. The easiest way to be rid of these vices is never to have started at all. I never smoked, I never drank, and I never did any drugs. I never consumed. And I have one of the best things I ever did. So I have watched some of my great friends, really capable friends, ruining themselves with one of these 3. So be careful about this one and always keep learning. The day you stop learning, your mind will take you. Even today, I'm learning. I learned computers on my own. There was no computer science at that time. I learned to handle laptops. I learned to have mobile phones. I learned to handle all these apps all by myself. I'm constantly learning. Today, I learned how to talk to you on Zoom, and somehow I'll find out what's going wrong with my Skype. But there's no time. But keep learning. That's another important thing. And finally, have a hobby. There must be something else in your life besides your job and your family. Your family will keep you busy. Your job will keep you preoccupied, but there is something else needed. It can be anything. It can be playing a musical instrument, drawing, painting, sketching, social work, whatever. There must be something for you to take your mind off. To have hobby, have a suitable hobby. You are best to decide what that hobby should be. not having, I know some people who say, I just don't have any hobbies. They just go to work, they go to college, they study, they come back, they eat, they drink, they sleep, and that's all. They have no other interest.
Yes.
Whereas I find that those people who have a hobby have excellent social contacts. They have people to discuss that hobby with. That itself is a great advantage. So these are the 5 tips that I would like to give to young people.
Okay.
Diet, exercise, health, avoid vices, keep learning constantly, never stop, and have a hobby.
Okay. Yes. So that's all the questions from my end. So is there anything else you want to add or share?
Nothing in particular. Many people have asked me, why don't you start a YouTube channel? I said, no, writing is far simpler and so easy. And
I think you
YouTube,
should. You have so much knowledge. Yeah.
the point is that knowledge can be, presented in writing also. See, if I was I had a pretty face and a nice voice, then you can attract somebody on video. Now, so so there is YouTube is not going to give me any special attraction. I'm not going to dance. I'm not going to sing. So what advantage do I have? Whatever I have is to say, I can say it best by writing about it. I can write well. So and then it's so simpler. I mean, bandwidth is less. It takes less time. I'm sure you have to do a lot of work to put up a video, not just recording. After that, you have to edit it, and God knows how much time you spend. Whereas if I have something to say, all I do is about my average Quora answer takes about 10 to 15 minutes to write and post. It's very convenient, and I plan to stick to Quora. Right now, I have no plans to come on YouTube. Many of my Quora followers have asked me, why don't you start a YouTube channel? So right now, it's not being considered. In future, let's see. Maybe if Quora shuts down, let's see. At that time, we'll see if there is another platform. I tried other platforms. I didn't like it. I tried Zoom, what is it, Twitter. No, man, 144 characters is not enough. Even to start writing, I need just to clear my throat before I write. I need 144 characters. What will I say with 144 characters? And I am not that fellow who likes to wisecrack and then with a short, pithy sentence. That requires special talent. I need enough room. I need enough, uh, room for expressing myself. And Twitter is not good enough. And I'm not too good with the camera. Instagram also people have suggested, but I'm better with words than with pictures. So I plan to stick with Quora at the moment, and let's see how it goes.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was lovely talking to you, and I would love to talk to you again, maybe when Skype gets ready. So I invite you again.
Okay. Otherwise, you can call me on Zoom, or you can call me on Google Meet. You learn to use Google Meet. I've had many of these interactions with hundreds of people in the last 8 years. And most of the time, it used to be either Zoom or Google Meet. Nowadays, it's mostly Google Meet. It's extremely simple. You can record on Google Meet. Just find out. And you have my email address. Anytime you can call me. Okay. All the best. Nice talking to you. And
Same.
have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. Bye-bye. Have a good day. Bye.